So last episode we had to delete the thermostat housing off the water pump housing, and I did that by sticking this in the computer scanner so that I could design a new one. Now it's time to do the valve cover. We're going to do exactly the same thing. Day one of valve cover design. I'm excited. Let's scan this. Doesn't fit. Day two of valve cover making, manufacture, designing. And all I've done so far is buy computer parts. Oh, it's around the wrong way. Ta-da! A3. All right, I'm gonna power this up, plug it into the computer, and scan this motherfucker. After cooling the room, allow machine to cool down to room temperature. Try again later. What the fuck? Next minute it's gonna like fall off my professional mounting there and claim compo. And just like last time, I'm gonna put a ruler down on the face to make sure the scale's correct. I can either use metric or imperial. Guess which one I'm gonna use? Scan. Yeehaw! Let's just rotate that so it makes more sense. Oh, fucking hell. Rotate clockwise. Okay. So, unlike a photo, say, why can't I use software? Okay. Unlike a photo, we've got a really clean, clear outline of the cover, which is what we want. That's all blurry, but that's because it sits a distance from the scanner. It's not a camera, it's a scanner. And the ruler came out perfectly clear down there. So we can double check the scale there and make sure that's spot on. That's mint, that's exactly what we want. So, oops. So what we got to do is scan one end and then scan the other end, stitch them both together, and then we can start designing it and stuff. Let's do that. It's day 4, and day 3 was a waste of time. This is why. I made a sketch of the pattern of the valve cover and I printed it out to test it, and look at this. It is exactly completely wrong. Look at this. The bolt hole here is lined up and then this one's not. Everything's the wrong scale. And I'm like, why is it the wrong scale? I measured everything. I even scanned a ruler so I could measure everything to 0.01 of a millimeter. And that's 5 millimeters off. So I've been racking my brains trying to figure out how this got cocked up so badly. I put my new glasses on and I had a look at the ruler on the screen, and I'm using the first line, that's 0 millimeters, all the way to the last line, that should be 300 millimeters, but it's not. Look closer. My 300 millimeter ruler is actually a 305 millimeter ruler, and I didn't notice that there are an extra 5 millimeters in there. I just took the last line, and that was a fuck up, and fixed it now, and I just printed another one out. This should be correct to within 0.01 of a millimeter. Let's see if I've got it this time. We're in the danger zone. This is obviously not a valve cover. It's just a representation of the hole positions to make sure I got everything perfect before I do all the hard stuff. Good thing I did, else I wouldn't have noticed my screw up with my 305 millimeter frickin' ruler. Ugh. There we go. Let's give it a go. Oh yeah, Rolf Harris. I think, am I winning? I don't know. I think I've got it upside down. Because Toyota did not make this cover symmetrical left to right. There we go. Look at that. All the bolt holes line up perfect. I got it. Now, let's make this thing. Day 7, and I have started modeling this part of the valve cover, and we've got it on the screen here. Now what I've done is, as closely as possible, replicate exactly the standard cover. That doesn't mean that that's what we're going to end up with, but I can use that as a starting point, and then if there's places I can slim it down and make it more compact, I will. So I haven't printed the whole cover, that's not useful to me at the moment. What I've done is printed that big bulgy bit that goes around the cam gear, and I've printed it intentionally in 2 split pieces so I can put one or the other there and see inside how much room I've got. Because if it was just a complete solid cover, I wouldn't be able to see shit. Okay, I forget which way it goes. That's the back. Right. Starting with the front bit. It fits, sort of just, it's hitting on the intake manifold there. That's all right, it's in the right spot. Now if we have a look in from behind, we can see that's good, but there's a whole lot of space over on that side that is just empty. So we can sculpt the cover differently to make room for that plenum and maybe some other cool things. The back bit, well, the back bit doesn't fit at all, which means I cocked up. It's not an exact copy of the standard covers because they fit. Ruined. The important thing is now we can see what we need to change. We can go start again from the beginning and come up with something that is better than stock. We are back onto valve covers and I have fixed the fitment problems. That was the first one we printed out. Oh, I've made a mess of it already. F it. Rightio, I fixed the figment problems. All right, we are back onto valve covers and I have fixed the hi mum. F off. We are back onto valve covers and I have fixed the fitment problems. That was the first one we showed you just before. What I've done is made this lower and this higher, and now it fits. It clears the intake manifold. It is better than stock. And here's one I've printed out as a single piece so we could check the, well, fitment. And I've left a hole in the top so I can make sure everything clears in there, which it does. So it's time to move on to the breathers. Now this is the original breather baffle plate from the original covers. And while I could make another one, I don't want to because this is actually perfect. This is probably better than what I would make if I made it myself. It's got great little pressed in things for the oil to drain back into the engine after it's gotten into the breathers and stuff like that. The only thing I got to do is clean it up and remove these plates here because they're not going to work. So we're going to solve that our own way in the ability bit over there. So let's go make this awesome. Spot weld drill bits are my favoritist kind of drill bits because they do magical things. Check this out. This actually reminds me of this time when I was drilling a steel gasket in my garage with a janky drill press. And what it did was it grabbed and flung around and turned into like 17 samurai swords and sliced my finger open and I had to go to the hospital. It's so magic. How good is that? Look at that. Look at that. It's gone. It's off there. But there's no hole. There's no motherfucking hole. you can see we've roughly designed the full valve cover. Here are the breathers. Got one there and one there. And if we spin it over, that is where we need to put the baffle plate. Baffle plate scanned in. Let's make it happen. I don't relish the thought of destroying irreplaceable engine parts, but I haven't been able to think of another way to measure the seal profile on this cover, so I'm just going to have to do a violence. That's what I need. The profile where the gasket seal thingy goes in there, because I want to make my cover exactly the same. Magnesium supplements. It has been 3 weeks of drawing and testing and developing and testing and making a lot of mistakes to finally arrive at this, the first complete printout of a valve cover for testing. Now, it's quite complex. We have modeled up all inside to replicate the original cover so that it can take the original baffle and breathe the same way as the original one. And we have relieved those areas where it was too big and would hit the intake manifold. So we need to test fit it to the car, but before we do that, let's see if the baffle fits. I'm excited. Now, the first design change we made was to make these breathers here and here much larger than the original ones, because originally they're quite small, they're only about 10 mil. So they are larger now, they can breathe more, which is important when you're doing a build that's got forged pistons and a lot of boost. You do end up with more blow-by in the crankcase that you need to evacuate out. Next change we made was the diameter and the height of these spark plug tube areas. And they are specifically to suit these Audi R8 coils or Lambo Gallardo coils, whatever you want to call them, they're the same thing. They have this dust seal on here, which we want to seal perfectly to the cover. And we want, of course, for the coils not to sit up and rattle around or anything like that. So if I got this right, and we push this in, it should nicely seal into the cover. That stops any dust and dirt from being able to get down the spark plug tube and eventually fall into the engine when we do spark plug changes. I am, however, not liking this color of red in conjunction with the fuchsia 3D print. They clash quite badly, so I don't know. I think I might have to print it again. Mint. That looks so much cleaner than the original cover, it's not funny. Last piece of the puzzle. We modified the cover quite drastically all along here, and especially in this spot here, because it did not clear our stupid billet intake manifold design. And we couldn't make the intake manifold higher because it would smack into the hood when we closed it. So, please fit. Please. Please. It's on. Is it missing? I can see daylight. It fits.
I like that laugh.
I can't believe we got everything right on the first go. We're actually maybe getting not completely f***ing useless at this. That's cool. Well, the next question I've got is whether the other side is a mirror image of this side or whether it's totally different and I have to start modeling from the beginning. I haven't even looked because I'm too scared, but now I have to. This week I've also finally identified the perfect O-ring for putting this intake manifold together, so we are one step closer to being able to pressure test this entire unit and see how many hundreds of pounds of boost it can hold. Ah, look at that, beautiful tight fit. That is so satisfying. Now, if this assembly clears that one bolt in the corner of the cover there, we are home free. Oh, who designed this crap? Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, whoop. It's in. It clears by 3 fingernails. The thicknesses of 3 fingernails. That's not a really good unit of measurement, to be honest. It clears by 3 end-to-end bees dicks. So today's the day I set aside some time to deal with this exhaust manifold situation. Just kind of snapped in half, and now I've got 6 broken runners at 6.5 broken runners. And I've been staring at these for probably a year now, and I don't actually like them. Like every time I look at them, they're the bit that I kind of go, oh, you know what? And there are problems with them. Like it's really hard to get all these runners equal length with the collector being where it is, so far from cylinder 6 and so close to cylinder 1, and limited amount of room to curl those runners up and make the close ones really long. And there's other things, like I'll show you on this one, come have a look. It's pretty awkward how the collector sits all the way over here and the runners need to curl around the shock tower to actually fit. And that creates a huge problem where you can't get a welding torch inside anywhere to weld this up all from the outside. So we're gonna have to weld it internally, and it's all just turning into a big crappy nightmare. And I just, now that I've got these valve covers done, now I can visualize exactly how much room I've got, because it's not just bare camshafts and me guessing how much space there is to work with. I didn't think this was going to be possible before, putting the collector back behind the shock tower. But now that that's there, I think we can do it that way. And if we can do it that way, I reckon I can get all of these runners equal length, and I think it's going to look better as well. So I'll be back in a moment. I'll show you.
1 week later. A yak. 2,000 years later.
So this obviously isn't 18 months worth of work.
No.
And this obviously is.
Yeah. It's like a Klingon batleth. Go. You want to go?
Yeah.
0.2 of a kilo heavier than magnesium covers. So stick that up, yeah? So that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half, is remaking my parts in a different colour. Okay, back to the drawing board. I need to get some 2.2 millimeter O-ring, plus or minus f***ing nothing. Give me the right size, you Bloop. Sounds like me taking a dump. Okay, this sucks and I hate it.
My salad fingers. I must find the perfect spoon.